Sidekicks aren't what they used to be. This is your look at the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Robin from Earth-22. Hailing from Earth-22, this is one of 3 young boys who are infected by the absolutely nightmarish Batman Who Laughs to become his own band of twisted Robins. Kept on a chain link leash, the sinister sidekick follows the evil Dark Knight's bidding, fighting tooth and claw alongside the other Robins to take down any enemy. Before we get a closer look at the twisted Robins from Earth-22, the first thing we're going to want to do is figure out how tall the figure actually stands. Now, I'm only scanning one of these, but just know that they're all the same figure, just with different heads. Robins, I say pluralized, from Earth-22 stands 6.3 inches in height. Switching that to centimeters, then you're looking at any one of these figures being 16 centimeters tall. Getting in some size comparisons, we can bring in the original Batman Who Laughs. Just know, though, that there's a Batman Who Laughs that comes in this wave as well. Simply just because I don't have that one figure out on display, as we haven't reviewed it yet. This will kind of give you an idea if you want to use the original Batman Who Laughs to be displayed with the Robins. I do feel like the other Batman Who Laughs is slightly taller, and again, we'll get more into that when we have a look at him. But for the time being, if you only have the original Batman Who Laughs, you can sort of see how a little bit small he is when you compare him with the other 3 Robins that he should be on display with. The accessories to come include with Robin. Wait a minute, did that Robin just move? Anyways. The accessories that come included with Robin, being that he is the exact same figure, just times 3, have to buy these all individually, of course, to get all the 3 head sculpts. Because of that, they all come with, of course, the same accessories. So we're going to look at the 1 card and just assume, of course, you're going to get another 2 of these cards if you buy all 3. The card depicts, of course, the Batman Who Laughs with 4 Robins chained up here. I think actually 3 are chained. 1 is still left by itself. You can see a really nice looking card, and because I do have another 2 of these, if I do damage this, and let's not hope that be the case, I at least have extra cards I can pull from. The back says source is Teen Titans number 12, dated from Comics 2017. Real name is unknown. Height is 5'6", and weight is 84 pounds. The read-up you can read certainly for yourself. It happened to also be the same read-up that I used at the beginning of this review, and that's the card. We're going to put that to the side. All of these characters also do come included with their own display stands. Again, I'll just wiggle one off. I find the difficulty with the display stands for the Robin is you really do have to use them. Because of the way that their legs are permanently arched, they're not supposed to be intended to be straight after all. I do find some difficulty getting them to stand, at least here on this backdrop. So definitely make use of this display stand. That's what they're there for after all. It's the same familiar black display stand we've gotten with all the other releases. DC is printed down below, and a single peg right at the top there to attach to the 2 peg holes on the undersides of Robin's feet. Again, you can just attach that in place. And one good thing is you do have options. I always like when there's options. You just attach it to the top, and then you've got yourself a somewhat freely standing Robin. Sort of have to balance him from time to time to get him in place. The other accessories that come included with these figures, we'll just move this one out of the way for the time being, is that they do all come included with chains. McFarlane certainly loves making his chains, and in this case, they finally get to get chains with these figures. Robins come with each one of them comes with its own chain. Now, to attach it to the figure, you would normally have suspected that it would be a difficult task because the loop of the where the chain actually attaches to is so very close to Robin's neck. You would suspect maybe you would have to move the neck out of the way. Would you have to remove the head altogether? No, actually you don't. You don't have to do that at all. Because it's a soft enough plastic, I would not advise bending this too much, but it's soft enough at least that you can take the end loop of the chain, kind of bend back, warp back that hook, and you can loop it in place. Now, of course, pressure is on because everybody's watching me do this, but generally it's not that hard. You only have to really pry the hook away from one end with one finger, I should say. And while you're prying it away, then just take the loop of the chain and feed it over top. Whoosh. That was a lot easier than I thought it would be. and then you would just rinse and repeat for all the other Robins. And then from there, you can take the chains and attach it into the Batman Who Laughs' hand, whether you go with the original or you go with the one that also was part of this wave. Now, you're probably also asking yourself, wasn't there a Build-A-Figure component that came included with these? There was. And we're going to go ahead and just put Robin down for the time being. Just know, though, that we're going back to Robin. After all, he is taking center stage for this review. But yes, in fact, they all come included with the same unfortunate Build-A-Figure part. And while I do like the Build-A-Figure part, it is sort of sucky, the fact that to buy all 3 Robins, you have to get the same torso piece. At least if they gave us heads, I could say that they could change the head sculpts differently so that if you each got with a new Robin, you got yourself a different looking head. Unfortunately, though, with Robin, he has to come included with the torso, and he has to come included with the lower skirt. And that results in you having 2 extras of these that then I don't know what you're really going to be doing with them. Now, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the torso, as we certainly will be doing that later on when we put together Merciless, but I do admit that that's a nice looking color. I've really loved this metallic blue that they used. Hold me to it, though. We all are going to be putting this guy together over the string of reviews that we're going to be looking at this entire wave. But in the meantime, we're going to put that to the side for the time being. Now, as for Robins, I'm going to go ahead and remove the display stand again, put that to the side. I suppose I could keep the chain on for the time being. I guess the main thing you guys will want to see is how the Robins do look together. And we'll just grab all 3 of these. Yes, this is a case where you're technically army building, but you can see all 3 head sculpts, like get them all close together. They are different from one another, like horrific nightmare snowflakes. Each one is different from the last. And while you can quite easily see the difference between the 3, it would be very difficult, I think, unless you're going into a store, to be able to pinpoint these. I don't know if they're actually called something different. I've heard some people say with this one it's a slightly tilted jaw Robin. But again, if you're looking to order these guys online, just know and make sure that you're not buying any doubles. Or you can again go to local comic book stores or some stores to see if you can actually track these down individually. But as you can see, all the head sculpts are different from one another. They share similar characteristics, yes, but the head sculpts are very much different from one another. I think of the 3, actually, funny enough, it happens to be, I find the one that's facing in the front. I really like this one, I think, the most. I do like the fact that you got the visible teeth there, the tongue, blood all over his teeth. That's a character you don't want to be babysitting any Friday night. But you can see, again, the difference between the 3. This one is just a straight-out smile. There we go, get the camera to focus in on that. Straight-out smile on this particular Robin. Do really like the look of that one. And then again, you've got the yelling or screaming Robin, and that's always good as well. But again, all 3 Robins bring something different to the table, while really the rest of their bodies are all the samesies. There's not much that changes with those. So again, you get the difference between all 3. I'm going to put those to the side. I'm going to put this guy to the side, and we're going to look at the one... Actually, you know what? I put to the side the one that I wanted to look at. Let's put the others aside and look at this one right here. Because again, when it comes to the bodies are all going to be exactly the same to one another. So there's no sense in really looking at this figure, then looking at the next Robin, then looking at the next Robin. But again, we'll just do one last look when it's all said and done. So again, like the head sculpt is really good on all of these. Maybe I will go and quickly just show you guys a turnaround on all the Robins so you guys can get a good idea of what they look like. But by far, this one is my favorite. The color is very vibrant on it. I like the contrast of the white eyes, and they really did a good job of actually outlining those eyes so they stand out against the backdrop of the mask. Of course, you got a big Joker-like smile, visible teeth, and again, all the blood that we talked about before. But when it comes to the rest of the body, all samesies. I like the fact that, I don't know why, but for some reason, I love the fact that this part of his shirt isn't the same length as the other. Kind of keeps to that look of unkeptness. Also, you can see that the outfit has really been stitched together. There's all these little stitch marks on the top's shoulders. So it looks like they've actually just stitched together the costume. The coloring is really good on this as well. Not vibrant red either. Sort of very muted reds with the bright red, the bright yellow in the R there for the Robin, and bright yellow for the stitching up to the top with the collar as well. Spin around to the back, a very tattered looking cape, and that's the same on all the figures. In fact, again, we grab the other Robin so you guys can see the back of it. Nothing changes between the figures. They're all identical to one another. It's a very different style of body, too. We'll talk more about that when it comes to his articulation, especially when it comes to his elbows. His elbows have this really interesting-looking hinge where I feel like I should be able to rotate his forearm, and yet I can't quite pull that off. You can see the very mangled-looking fingers. All of them are exactly the same. No matter what Robin you go to, they're all going to have the exact same pose, at least when it comes to his hands. And then, of course, you have the off-aligned utility belt, all nice and branded here in a very bright yellow. We get a little bit further down. Now, here, it looks like, obviously, there's like little gnaw marks, and there's like decay to the body, and I feel like it's been handled well. They probably could have added a little bit of extra darker color here so that those wounds and damage to his skin would stand out a little bit more. But certainly as it serves a purpose, I think it's nicely sculpted. And of course, down all the way down to the bottoms of his boots, some nice additional texturing done to the not only the backs, but the top cuffs of these boots as well. Really, really neatly done. And again, we'll just look at that figure, and then we'll move on over to this guy right here. I want to make sure, again, I show you guys all the differences between the figures. This one is straight out smiling. Again, we're not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about his costume. Nice yellow fang-like teeth. Again, you get the sharp points at the tops of not only the mask, but pointed ears there as well. A little bit of additional green that goes a long while in the additional coloring that they've added to the hair, which is otherwise mostly black. So I appreciate the fact that they added just a little bit of extra green to it. And then again, if you want the more yelling Robin, then you can go this route as well. Very similar aspects kept in place. The green now added to this one. I feel like this one has a lot more green in his hair than perhaps the other two Robins that we had a look at. This one looks like it just had dinner time. Good eatins. You can see there's blood smeared all across his face. So let's have a look at the articulation. We'll stick with this guy because we've already had a look at the other two extensively. The heads rotate all the way around. It's a nice ball joint working at play there, up and down, and you can also rock it back and forth. Nice, comfortable movement. As for the arms comfortably hinge out at a full 90-degree angle bend. You can rotate the arms all the way around. He has that hinge in the elbow, which again is really awkward looking when you look at it. It really makes me think, especially when you see it like this, that I should be able to rotate the arm. I think what would happen is I would rotate it, I would break it, and then I would cry. I wouldn't want that to happen. But the hands do, the actual gloves rotate all the way around, and there's some articulation going on there as well. He does have an upper torso ball joint. The one downside, though, to this figure, as you'll see, and I've already done it already, I've already had this happen a couple of times. When I rotate the body, there is a ball joint working in there. You can see as I move my finger around, but it seems to untab itself. This one is the worst of the batch. It does snap back into place, like it stays there. It's not going to be going anywhere. But I find when I start moving it too much is when it starts freeing itself from that peg. So you just want to be careful when you're doing that. The legs hinge out. You can see they've used a softer material when it comes to the lower shorts. So it does add a lot more posability. It doesn't restrain it at all. You can move the legs forward and back. But again, when you're looking at the legs, they're always going to be bent. No way around it. It's just the way you're going to have to deal with it. It does have the hinge in the knee. A little tight on this one. The other two are a little bit more relaxed, but it does have the hinge in the knee. And then when it comes to the feet, you can rotate the feet back and forth. You can hinge them up and down. Ratcheted joints also in those ankles. And he does also have toe articulation, whatever Robin you decide to go with. I certainly feel like this is a case where I don't know what else they could have done. They could have technically just released the same Robin with all the three heads attached to him, but I feel like then that defeats the purpose, because obviously you're still going to have to go and buy the other two Robins to complete the trio. So I think in a case like this, I'm just getting all the other Robins together so you guys can see, get the other one on his display stand. I feel like in a case like this, yes, the only way around it would have been to buy all the figures individually, or they could have possibly even released them as a trio set. They're small enough, they're not using as much plastic as the larger scale figures, that they could have potentially released this as a 3-pack and just been done with it completely. Obviously, the appeal is the fact that the companies are going to want to make sure that you're going and buying a lot of them. And in a case like this, it's a validated army build. The only downside, though, to picking up all 3 Robins is, as a result of it, you're going to be getting all 3 versions, all 3 pieces of the exact same parts for Merciless. And really no way around that. They could have again used different head options so that Merciless could have had different looks to him. And resulting, unfortunately, is with getting extra torsos, is now I've got 2 extra torsos I really don't know what to do with. And of course, when you've got all 3 Robins finally chained up and in the hands of the Batman Who Laughs, you've got yourself a nice looking setup, mister. Although I will say the original Batman Who Laughs that McFarlane Toys did release under the DC Multiverse banner, I feel is a little too small. When you compare him to the slightly more taller Robins, I feel like the proportions aren't quite there. However, in this wave of the Merciless line, we are getting ourselves another Batman Who Laughs. Not only does get an upgrade on the sculpt, but I think he is a little bit taller. We'll know soon enough when the review of him will be coming right around the corner. When eventually I do the review of him, I'll do a comparison with the 3 Robins, and I'll also compare him to this Batman Who Laughs to show you the difference between those 2 figures. Now, when it certainly comes to these Robins, yes, they're just admittingly army building them. A good opportunity on McFarlane's part to release more than 1 Robin just with the exact same body from the neck down with different head sculpts. I would say, though, if you're in the market of picking these ones up for yourself, do your best and be careful when you're ordering these online. Depending on the way that they're listed, say if you're buying them on eBay, make sure the pictures are clear enough. And maybe even ask the seller to clarify which Robin that he has. Because you'd hate to get more of, well, you'd hate to get a duplicate of the exact same head sculpt. The real payoff, I feel, is where you get all 3 Robins and they're all different from one another, at least from a head standpoint. Have you managed to pick up all 3 Robins? Let me know down below in the comments section. And also, if you're new to the channel and you're liking all the content you're seeing throughout the course of 2021, or let's just say you've been watching this channel before 2021 and you just never got around to doing it, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below, Jack. Make sure you turn on that bell notification, and make sure you come back to this channel Monday to Friday, 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's, of course, when new videos will be popping up. And, of course, answering to your question, even though I did probably answer it already in Final Looks, we will be having a look at the entire wave of the Merciless line from DC Multiverse. So, yes, definitely going to be a lot more Multiverse figure reviews lined up and coming your way. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.